Hey friends, what's up? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. What can I tell you? Today we're studying Daf Yud Zayin of Masechta Hagiga. Yeah, Hagiga is a good Masechta. What do you want me to tell you? Friends, we are learning today a Mishnah. We have seen parts of this before, Masechta Beitza and other places. The machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel about do you do smicha on korbanos, do you offer shlamim, olis on Yom Tov, and Tashlumin. So these are the sugyas that we are going to discuss today. Friends, we're going to start on Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. 2 lines in the page. It says in the Mishnah, Beis Shammai says Beis Shammai mevi'in shlamim ve'in somchin aleim aval lo olis, straight out of Masechta Be'ah. That Beis Shammai's opinion is that on Yom Tov, we don't bring olas at all. We can bring shlamim, because after all, right, shlamim, the person who brings the shlamim can eat from it, right? Part of it goes on the mizbech, part of it goes to the kohanim, and then the rest goes to the person who offers it. So Beis Shammai says, look, you can offer a shlamim on Yom Tov, there's simchas Yom Tov, you can eat the meat, but a korban ola, you don't get any part of it at all, it just gets burnt on the mizbech, so you cannot offer that on Yom Tov. Now, even a korban shlamim that you're allowed to offer on Yom Tov, the smicha leaning on the animal would have to be done before Yom Tov. Okay? Now, Beis Hillel disagrees, and they say mevi'in shlamim ve'olis v'somchin aleim. Whereas Beis Hillel's opinion is that on Yom Tov you can offer shlamim, on Yom Tov you can offer olas, both of them are fine, and you can even do smicha, you can lean on the animal. Okay, so now you have Shavuos that falls out on a Friday, so it's Yom Tov on a weekday essentially, Yom Tov on a Friday. Okay. So Beis Shammai says, look, you can't offer. So the interesting thing is, and it doesn't seem to be super clear why, the interesting thing is, Rashi explains that Beis Shammai would say that when you have Shavuos on a Friday, so it's Yom Tov, so both the Korban Hagiga and the Olas Re'iyah you wouldn't slaughter on Friday, rather, and obviously not on Shabbos, you would wait until Sunday. Now, certainly the Olas Re'iyah you would not be offering on Friday, on Yom Tov, because it's an Ola, and Beis Shammai just says that we don't offer Korban Olas on Yom Tov. The interesting thing though is that Rashi says that Beis Shammai would say the same thing by the Shalmei Hagiga as well, that you would not offer it on Friday. That I think is a little more difficult to understand, because after all Beis Shammai says that you would be allowed to offer shlamim on Yom Tov. So I don't know, I didn't really see like a super clear answer, so I'm just going to kind of flag that as a question. Anyways, so when you have Shavuos, i.e. Yom Tov on a Friday, so Beis Shammai says, look, you cannot offer the korbanos on, right, the Shalmei Hagiga, the Olas Re'iyah on Friday, and certainly not on Shabbos. So rather, on Sunday is when you would offer the korbanos. Beis Hillel says, Ein Yom Tvach Achar Shabbos. Beis Hillel says, no need. You don't have to wait till Sunday. You could slaughter the Shalmei Hagiga and Olas Re'iyah on Friday, on Yom Tov. No problem, because Beis Hillel says you can offer Olas and Shlamim on Yom Tov. Umodim. Now, however, Beis Hillel agrees with Beis Shammai in the case She'im Chola Lios B'Shabbos, that if Shavuos falls out on Shabbos, well then Sheyom Tvuach Achar Shabbos, then you're not going to offer the Shalmei Hagiga and Olas Re'iyah on Shabbos. Rather, you will offer them on Sunday. Now, in the event that you push off, right, in the event that Shabbos, that Shavuos is on a Shabbos, and you have to offer the korbanos on Sunday, so you have to be careful, because after all, the Tzedukim would say that Shavuos was always on a Sunday, because it says, Mimochras HaShabbos, from the day after Shabbos, and they say, well, the day after Shabbos is Sunday, therefore Shavuos every year is on a Sunday. Now, the Perushim, the non-Tzedukim, disagree and say that Shavuos is the 50th day from the second day of Pesach, regardless of what day of the week it is. So now, in a situation where Shavuos falls out on a Shabbos, and we have to push off the Olas Re'iyah and Shalmei Hagiga till Sunday, so we have to be careful. It's a delicate line, because we have to be careful not to give the wrong idea. We don't want anybody to think that we're holding like the Tzedukim, that even though Shavuos is on Shabbos, we're celebrating it on a Sunday, even though the korbanos are a Sunday, so we don't want anybody to get the wrong idea, and therefore, in Kohen Gadol mislabish bechelav, that if the Kohen Gadol, when says Rashi, like ki'ilu, when he was in his house, not necessarily when he was doing the avodah, but like ki'ilu, it's just when the Kohen Gadol was, I guess, not doing the avodah, he didn't dress particularly fancy on that Sunday because he wanted to make a point, a statement, a point that today is not Shavuos. We are just offering the korbanos of Shavuos today because Shavuos was on Shabbos. So now, ein Kohen Gadol mislabish bechelav. So a Kohen Gadol on that Sunday would not wear particularly fancy attire, umutarin behesped, and you would be allowed to fast on to eulogize on that day with sinus and fasting in order to make a point that it is not Shavuos on Sunday, right? That the Tzdukim would say that Shavuos is always on a Sunday. We're saying no, today is not Shavuos. Shavuos was Shabbos, but we couldn't offer the korbanos on Shabbos, so we are offering them on Sunday. Friends, let's learn the Gemara. Omer Rabbi Elazar, Omer Rabbi Shaya. It says Rabbi Elazar in the name of Rabbi Shaya, Minayin la'atzeres sheyesh la Tashlumin kol shiva. How do we know that by Shavuos, even though it's only a one-day festival, you can do Tashlumin for the Shalmei, Hagiga, and Olas Re'iyah for 7 days, right? That, if you didn't offer it on Shavuos, you have a week, you have 7 days to make it up. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, b'chag hamatzis, v'chag hashvuos, v'chag hasukkos. That the pasuk says on Pesach, on Shavuos, and on Sukkos, makish chag hashvuos l'chag hamatzis, and therefore we see that Shavuos is just juxtaposed with chag with chag hamatzis with Pesach. Machag hamatzis yesh la tashlumin kol shiva. Just like Pesach, you can do Tashlumin for all 7 days, that if you did not offer the Olas Re'iyah and the Shalmei Hagiga on the first day of Pesach, so you could make it up for all 7 days. So Chag HaShavuos, also Shavuos, even though it's only a one-day festival, if you did not offer the Shalmei Hagiga and Olas Re'iyah on Shavuos, so then Yesh la Tashlumin kol shiva, you could make it up over the course of the week. You have 7 days. Ve'ema makish l'chag hasukis. Friends, what do you think? Fact the Gemara, 1 second. What does the pasuk say? B'chag hamatzis, v'chag hashvuos, v'chag hasukis. So Shavuos is sandwiched between Pesach and Sukkos. We just assumed that we're going to compare it to Pesach and say that just like Pesach has 7 days of Tashlum, you can offer the Shalmei Hagiga and Olas Re'iyah for all 7 days if you haven't yet offered it. So we say that also Shavuos you have 7 days, but maybe, right, Shavuos is sandwiched between Pesach and Sukkos. Maybe rather than comparing it to Pesach, it should be compared to Sukkos. Machag HaSukkos yesh la tashlumin kol shmone, af chag HaShavuos yesh la tashlumin kol shmone. And maybe I'll say that just like by Sukkos, you could make up, if you didn't offer the Shalmei Hagiga and Olas Re'iyah on the first day of Sukkot, so you could make it up all 8 days, right? The 7 days of Sukkot plus Shmini Atzeres. So maybe I'll say that by Shavuos as well, if you didn't offer the korbanos on Shavuos itself, so then you have 8 days to make it up. Shmini Regel b'fnei atzmahu, to which the Gemara says, well, Shmini Atzeres is its own festival, so it's not like you can even if we compare it to Sukkot, we can only compare it to the 7 days of Sukkot. Don't tell me about Shmini Atzeres. But Amor da Amrina Shmini Regel b'fnei atzmahu Hani Milei Linin Pezer Keshev. So I'll say that. But 1 second, in what context do we say that Shmini Atzeres is its own festival? In a specific context with regard to Pezer Keshev, as we've seen a few times. Pezer Keshev is an acronym that stands for 6 things. Pious, that we would have we would resume a lottery on Shmini Atzeres Kilu. The first 7 days of Sukkot there would be no lottery. They would just, all the different mishmaros would go in order, but on Shmini Atzeres there would be a lottery for which mishmar would do the avoda. Zman, you say Shechianu. Regel is that it's its own festival. Keshev is its own korbanos. Shir is that it's own Shir Shayom. And Bracha is that there would be a special blessing of the king. So, Beseder. So I'll say that Shmini Atzeres is its own festival with regard to these specific 6 things. Avalinin Tashlumin Derishanu. But I'll say that when it comes to Tashlumin, it's Tashlumin of the first day. And therefore, I could say that just like Shmini Atzeres has 8 days of, that Sukkot has 8 days of Tashlumin, that Shmini Atzeres is included in the 8 days of Tashlumin of Sukkot, and it's not considered a separate festival with regard to Tashlumin. So I will say that just like Sukkot has 8 days of Tashlumin, so therefore Shavuos should have 8 days. The Tanan, as we learn in the Mishnah, Mishlochag v'Yom Tov Harishon Shalchag, a fellow who did not offer his korban Hagiga on the first day of Sukkot, Chogeg is Kol Regel, so he could offer it one of the other days of Sukkot, v'Yom Tov Ha'achron, as well as the last day of Sukkot. So we see that regarding Tashlumin, there are taka 8 days that you could do it, so we should say potentially the same thing for Shavuos. So again, the pasuk says v'chag hamatzos, v'chag Shavuos, v'chag Sukkos, that Shavuos is juxtaposed both to Pesach as well as to Sukkot, and the question is, why compare Shavuos to Pesach to say that it's 7 days of Tashlumin, compare it to Sukkot to say that it's 8 days of Tashlumin, and for the Gemara, Tafasta Meruba lo Tafasta, Tafasta Mua Tafasta, that if you try to chaparain too much, so then you chap nothing, whereas if you try to chaparain a little bit, then you can chap. What does that mean? So I seem to remember a different shot from Masechta Sukkah, but Rashi explains it very nicely here as well, slightly differently than I remember it. But anyways, if you have an option to choose a larger amount and a smaller amount, well then, if you choose the smaller amount, you can't really go wrong, because memele, right, the larger amount includes the smaller amount. So if you go for the larger amount and it turns out to be wrong, so then you actually did something wrong. You took, right, part of what you took, you weren't supposed to take. But if you take the smaller amount, so memele, right, you were allowed to take what you took, right? If you're allowed to take, 100 pounds of something and you take 90 pounds of it, so you can't go wrong with taking 90 pounds of it. You didn't take too much. Whereas if you take all 100 pounds, but it turns out you should have taken 90, so then you took too much, right? You made a mistake. You did something wrong. So therefore, tafasta merubalo tafasta. Look, if we're not sure whether to compare it to Monday or to compare it to, whether to compare it to Pesach, whether to compare it to Sukkot. Well, Pesach is 7, Sukkot is 8, so go with the smaller amount, and you can't go wrong. Tafasta merubalo tafasta. Tafasta mua tafasta elo lemai hilchisa kozver achmon lechag Sukkos. No. So if that's the case, that it says v'chag hamatzos, v'chag Shavuos, v'chag Sukkos, and we're really only just taking so far chag hamatzos and chag Shavuos. So what do we learn out from chag Sukkos? Lakushe lechag hamatzos, to compare Sukkos to Pesach, machag hamatzos to onlino, av chag Sukkos to onlino, that just like by Pesach you need to stay overnight in Jerusalem. Right, that the first night, of course, you stay in Jerusalem. That's when you have the Korban Pesach and the Seder, and then that day is the first day of Yom Tov of Pesach. But you don't, when Yom Tov ends and you make Havdalah, you don't immediately go home. You sleep over in Jerusalem that night as well. So we say that just like by Pesach, that's a thing. So also by Sukkot, that's a thing. How do we know that by Pesach it's a thing? The pasuk says, and then you will go in the morning and you will go home. And obviously that's not talking about on the first day of... I'm recording Babylon Talmud down here. Anyways, so as it says, you will then go home, and mainly you're not going home on Yom Tov. So it must be talking about the first day of Chol Hamoed, that you're going to sleep over in Jerusalem the night following the first day of Yom Tov as well. 1 second, let me go yell at some people. They're making noise. Okay, yelling and screaming done. I asked for 5 minutes. I asked for 10 minutes. So friends, we gotta hustle. Tnan, we learned in the Mishnah, Erev Shabbos. Okay, so we learned in our Mishnah that if Shavuos falls out on a Friday, alright, why not? Can Shavuos fall out on Friday? I don't know. Anyways, so, the Mishnah says Shavuos falls out on Friday. So B'Sham Yom, it says B'Sham Yom Tuvach Achar Shabbos. So you're going to slaughter the korbanos Rashi said both the Shalmei Hagiga and the Olas Re'iyah you will slaughter on Sunday. Whereas Beis Hillel says that no, you can slaughter the korbanis on Friday, right? Because you can offer shlamim, you can offer ola on Yom Tov, so no problem, just do it on Friday. My lab. Inla Yom Tvach Klal. So we want to say that, wait, maybe what Beis Hillel is saying is not just that, you don't need to wait until Sunday. Maybe it's saying Ein La Yom Tvach, meaning there's no Tashlumin. That kilu, if you miss your chance on Yom Tov, then there's no Tashlumin. So lo she'ein tzricha Yom Tvach. So no, what it's saying is that it doesn't need to wait until Sunday, i.e., that you can slaughter it on Friday, on Yom Tov. Well, 1 second. So then what is Beis Hillel telling us? That you can offer the Shalmei Hagiga and Olas Re'iyah on Yom Tov on Friday? But we already know that. We don't need to learn about Shavuos that falls out on a Friday to know this. I mean, the ratio of the Mishnah says that Tanan b'Shamim mevin shlamim ve'ein tzomchen aleim. Beishami says, look, you can bring a korban shlamim, you just don't lean on it, you don't do smicha. Avalo olas, but not korban olas at all on Yom Tov. Beis Hillel mevin shlamim ve'olas v'tzomchen aleim. That Beis Hillel says that you can offer shlamim and olas, and you do smicha. So therefore, if I already know from the Reisha that according to Beis Hillel you can offer shlamim and olas on Yom Tov, so then why do I need to say that also if Shavuos falls out on a Friday, so you don't have to wait until Sunday to offer the korbanos, you can offer them on Friday? I know that. That's what the Reisha says. You can offer shlamim and olas on Yom Tov. So the Gemara answers tzricha. We need both ukimtas. We need both cases. We need the Reisha to tell us that Beis Hillel says that you're allowed to offer shlamim and ola on Yom Tov, and Beis Shammai says you can offer shlamim but not olas. And we also need the situation of when Shavuos falls out on Friday. How come? The Ashminon B'ha, if we only had the Reisha, if we only had, right, that Beis Hillel says you can offer shlamim and ola on Yom Tov, and Beis Shammai says shlamim but not olas. So Behaka Amri Beis Shammai, that is where Beis Shammai says that you're not allowed to offer, right? Just on if Yom Tov falls out on a Tuesday, so then Beis Shammai says, look, you're not allowed to offer olas on Yom Tov. Mishum de'ef shalomachar, just offer it tomorrow on Wednesday. Aval hacha, but over here where Shavuos falls out on a Friday, maybe they would agree with Beis Hillel that since you wouldn't be able to offer it the next day on Shabbos, you'd have to wait till Sunday. In that case, maybe Beis Shammai would agree with Beis Hillel. So therefore, we need the Shavuos situation to say that no, even in a situation where Shavuos is on a Friday, and you're going to have to wait till Sunday, even so, Beis Shammai would still say that's in fact the case, that you wait till Sunday. And if we would only have the case of Shavuos, Beis Hillel, that is where Beis Hillel says that you can slaughter the korbanos on Friday, on Yom Tov, mishum delo efshar l'machar, because you can't offer it the next day on Shabbos. Aval b'ha ema modu leBeis Shammai. But if Yom Tov falls out on a Tuesday, so maybe they would agree with Beis Shammai that just don't offer it today, offer it tomorrow on Wednesday. So tzricha. So therefore, we need both cases to say that in both cases, Beis Hillel says that you can offer shlamim and olas on Yom Tov, and in both cases, right, meaning whether Yom Tov falls out on a week, like in the middle of the week, or whether it falls out on a Friday, and in both those cases as well, whether it's the middle of the week or whether it's a Friday, Beis Shammai would say that you do not offer the korbanos on Yom Tov itself. Rather, you wait either till the next day, or if the next day is Shabbos, then till Sunday. So now the Gemara asks the kasha on Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shai, right? We had just said up until now that says Rabbi Elazar in the name of Rabbi Shai that even when it comes to Shavuos, there are 7 days of Tashlumin. That if you didn't offer the korbanos on the first on Shavuos itself, so you have a week to make it up. So now Tashma Kamanir Mishalo Chog Shiva Simei Pesach, a fellow who did not offer the korban Hagiga for all 7 days of Pesach, or for all 8 days of Sukkot, V'Yom Tiv Shel Atzeres, or on Shavuos, Shuvin Chogeg. That's it, he missed his chance. So my lab, Yom Tiv Shel Atzeres. So that mistoma means that if a fellow did not offer the Korban Hagiga on Shavuos, he missed his chance, i.e., Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shai said you have a week to make it up, but it sounds like from here that if you missed your chance on Shavuos, you missed your chance. That's it. There's no Tashlumin. So lo Yom Tovach. No, it means that if you missed the Tashlumin, essentially, right? The day after. But then, okay, if that's the case, then it sounds like there's only one, right? Yom Tovach is singular, right? It sounds like there's only one day that you can do Tashlumin. So I'll say the days of slaughtering, i.e., that it is, it's not just one day of Tashlumin, rather you could make up the days of Tashlumin. It is like Reb Elazar and Rabbi Shaya that there is a week of Tashlumin, that there's 7 days of Tashlumin. Tashma coming here, the Tani Rabbi Bar Shmuel, the Rabbi Bar Shmuel taught, Omer Torah Minei Yomim Vikadesh Chodesh, that the Torah says, count days, right, 30 days, and then you have Rosh Chodesh. Manei Yomim Vikadesh Atzeres, count days, and then it's Shavuos, right, 50 days, and then it's Shavuos, right, so count 30 days, and then it's Rosh Chodesh, right, i.e. every 30 days is Rosh Chodesh, and after, right, starting on the second night of Pesach, we count 50 days, and at the end of the 50 days is Shavuos. Machodesh limnu yov, hafatzeres limnu yel. And we want to make the argument that just like when it comes to Rosh Chodesh, so we count 30 days, and each unit is a unit of 1 day, and the korbanos of Rosh Chodesh you can do for 1 day, which is one of the units that make that you count until Rosh Chodesh, right? You count 30 days until Rosh Chodesh, and then you have 1 day to offer the korbanos of Rosh Chodesh. So let's say the same thing by Shavuos. You count 50 days, right? Each unit of counting is a day. And let's say the same thing, that when you come to Shavuos, the korbanos that you offer on Shavuos, you have 1 day to offer them, and that is it. So my lab, Gomer Michodesh, Machodesh Yom Echod, Afatzeres Yom Echod, right? So we want to say, right, as I just said, that just like by Rosh Chodesh, it's 1 day of korbanos. So also by Shavuos, you only have 1 day to offer the korbanos. Amar Rava, says Rava v'tizbira. 1 second. Says Rava, I have a question. Atu atzeres yomim maninan, shavui lo maninan. 1 second. When it comes to Shavuos, sure we count days, but we also count weeks. For Amar Abaye says, mitzvah lemimne yomei, that it's a mitzvah to count the days. The chsiv tisbu chamishim yom, it says count 50 days, but at the same time, a mitzvah lemimne shavui. But it's also mitzvah to count the weeks. Tichsiv shiva shavuos tisparlach. You'll count for yourself 7 weeks. V'od chag shavuos ksiv. And also it's called shavuos, weeks, right? So therefore, meaning you can't make that argument, right? You can't say that, just like by Rosh Chodesh we count days and then make Rosh Chodesh, and Rosh Chodesh you have 1 day to offer the korbanos. So same thing by Shavuos, we count 50 days. Because by Shavuos, sure, we count 50 days, but we also count 7 weeks. And therefore, just like you can make the argument that you have 1 day for the korbanos, you can also make the argument that you have 1 week, right, for the korbanos. That if you didn't offer it on Shavuos itself, you could make it up. You could do Tashlumin for 7 days. So again, Reb Elazar and Reb Shai remains intact, that you have a week to offer to do Tashlumin. Devei Reb Eliezer ben Yaakov Tana, who is taught in the Besmedrash of Reb Eliezer ben Yaakov, Omer Kra, the pasuk says, "Ukrosem uvikutzuchem." It says in the context of Shavuos that, and you will call out. What does the pasuk say? Ukrosem be'etzem hayom hazeh mikra kodesh yelochem komlech savoda lo saisu chukasolem uchomosh vosechem edorsechem. Okay, so it says call out on that day, and then it says uvikutzuchem es k'tzir artzechem. Also in the context of Shavuos, it talks about harvesting. What is the festival that you proclaim about it and you also harvest on it? So that's Shavuos. Now Amos, when are you doing this harvesting? Well, you can't harvest on Yom Tiv, so alav the Tashlumin. It must be talking about Tashlumin to say that there is Tashlumin for Shavuos. And we need both of these prices. We need Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shaya to compare Shavuos to Pesach, to say that just like by Pesach there's Tashlumin for 7 days, also by Shavuos there's Tashlumin for 7 days. And we also need this pasuk by Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov to teach that obviously you're not harvesting on Shavuos. It must be that the pasuk is referring to the days of Tashlumin following Shavuos. The Midr Elazar and Rabbi Shai, because if you would only have the pasuk right? The comparison of Shavuos to Pesach. So then, Hava Amina, I would say, Ma Tashlumin shel Chag HaMatzos also b'asiyas melacha. Well, just like the Tashlumin on Pesach, it's during, right, Chol HaMoed, right? We learned that you're not in Mesichta Moed Katan, that you're not allowed to do melacha, only by Dover Ovid, only in specific cases are you allowed to do melacha. So just like by Pesach, the korbanos, the tashlumin, are in days that are also b'melacha. So af tashlumin atzeres nami also b'asiyas melacha. So I'll also say that when it comes to Shavuos, also the 6 days following Shavuos, when you can do tashlumin, they're also b'melacha. So Kamashman Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, that's why we also have Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov to talk about harvesting, and harvesting is a melacha, and we're saying that you're allowed to do that during the days of tashlumin. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov lo yadayna kama. And if I would only have Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov to teach about Tashlumin, I don't know how many days of Tashlumin there are. Kamash Malon to Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Boshaya. Therefore comes Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Boshaya to say that we compare Shavuos to Sukkot, and we're talking about we compare Shavuos to Pesach, and we're talking about 7 days of Tashlumin. Friends, that was Daf Yud Zayin of Masechta Hagiga. I hope you enjoyed it very much. What did we discuss? We discussed the Machlokas that we have seen before. That Beis Shammai says that on Yom Tif you're allowed to offer korban shlomim, right? Just you can't do the smicha on Yom Tif, no korban olas at all. Beis Hillel says that you are allowed to offer korban shlomims and korban olas, and also do smicha. We talked about how do we know that you can do tashlumin for the korban chagiga, right? And I imagine olas riyah as well, that if you did not offer it on the first day of Yom Tif, you could make it up for 7 days following. So by Shavuos, right? Because by Pesach you could do it all 7 days of Pesach. By Sukkot it's all 8 days of Sukkot. But also says Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Boshai, we compare Shavuos to Pesach to say that just like by Pesach you could do Tashlumin for 7 days, so also by Shavuos you have 7 days to do Tashlumin if you didn't offer the korbanos on Shavuos. We saw Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov's opinion as well, that he also learns out from a different pasuk by V'kutzurchem. It talks about harvesting, which isn't happening on Shavuos, it's happening during these days of Tashlumin. That was essentially Daf Yud Zayin of Masechta Hagiga. I hope you enjoyed. Peace out.